Hey guys, Enigmatic Mr. L here, and I wanted to make a video where I talked about pairings and genealogy of the Holy War. The pairings and marriage system of this game is, I think, one of the most interesting things about it. No matter what pairings you do, generally the kids are going to be fine enough. Like Ayra's kids, they're going to be good at combat, but have trouble keeping up with the mounted units. Lena is a quad dancer. Patty has thief utility. Nana's a mounted healer, etc. So for that reason, if you're playing the game for the first time, I would just kind of recommend pairing up however you feel like it. Don't use a guide. Don't get too invested in it. Just have fun. Some pairings will be better than others, but that makes your experience more unique. However, if you're playing the game on repeat playthroughs or maybe playing the first time but you do want more optimal pairings, certain pairings are better than others. I'll be looking at things such as the stats the fathers give to the children, the skills they pass down, weapon inheritance, holy blood when it's applicable because that can raise weapon rank or staff rank, and how easy it is to pair off certain units in Gen 1. Like, do the two units have similar movement, like both mounted or both on foot, so they have an easier time keeping up with each other? Do they have certain events that boost their love points? That sort of thing. It should be worth noting that I do not have personal experience with every single one of these pairings, but I have done my research. I've looked up what other people's things. I've studied it, looked at stats, skills. Obviously, this is just my opinion, so take it with a grain of salt, but I did want to throw my hat into the ring at this, just my attempt at it. So before we start out with the pairings that you actually have control over who ends up with whom, I want to talk a little bit about the two pairings that are set in stone. So Deirdre is the mother of Seliph, and the only parent you can possibly have is Sigurd. There's one other child Deirdre has, but that child is completely set in stone. You can't influence anything. Stats, growth, inventory. Seliph, you do have a little bit of control. Now, obviously, you're going to want to use Sigurd to make yourself stronger. Like, the more you use the father and mother characters, they have higher stats, and the child has slightly higher stats. Although, unless you're doing some kind of like challenge run, Sigurd's pretty much guaranteed to cap out his level. So that's good for Seliph here. The general meta strat is to have Sigurd pass down a bunch of stat boosting rings like strength ring, defense ring, speed ring, that sort of thing. Either the silver sword you get in the prologue from Arvis, or like a brave sword you get from like Ayra's event. Pass that down as well, which has crit build up or is close to having a 50 kill, so you have crit on it. And the Paragon ring or Paragon band. So have Seliph just solo Chapter 6 or semi-solo as close as he can. So then by the beginning of Chapter 7, he's already ready for promotion. You want to get that Seliph promoted as soon as possible. This is generally the same as the meta strat. I think it works pretty well. As others have noted, any character you give that much favoritism to, they'll turn out well. But as your main lord for the second generation on SBCs and castles, him having that much investment, I think, is much better than what other characters can get. So, yeah, that's what I recommend doing here. All right, next we have Ethlyn, who at the start of the game is married to Quan. They are the parents of Leif and Altena. Altena, you don't really need to worry about too much. Quan will pass down the gay bolt, and that's pretty much the only major weapon she needs. Anything else you can just buy, or like a javelin or something like that. She comes in pretty late. She's like the latest joining unit in Gen 2, so she's fine. Leif here could use a bit of help. He starts out, he's on foot, he doesn't have pursuit. If you get him for promotion, he promotes into Master Knight. Really good class, high movement, A rank in every weapon, sans light, has pursuit, has good stats you need, and Leif generally has good growth thanks to holy blood from both of his parents. But getting him to promotion is a bit of a struggle. So for that reason, what I recommend doing is have Ethlyn pass down the pursuit ring to Leif. Generally, there's only other two characters that really want it, those being Lewyn and Noish. And, you know, that has the argument to be made. I think long term, though, Leif, having that pursuit ring gets him to promotion sooner, and then he doesn't need it. He can just sell it, get extra gold. That's generally what I recommend doing. On top of that, Chapter 7, Leif, Finn, and Nana starting a bit of a precarious situation. So it can be good to give him something like an Armor Slayer, do those Armor Knights, or like a Light Brand or something good like that. Give him a good starting weapon, so beginning of Chapter 7 isn't as bad. Alright, so now we get into the actual pairings where you do have control over. Starting with Edain, who is the mother of Lester and Lana. These two kids want different things. Lester wants bow inheritance and good strength. Lana wants like staff rank and good magic, that sort of thing. So generally, you kind of have to pick which one you want to help out a lot. Generally speaking, most people want to help out Lester because Lana is a healer. So with good magic or bad magic, she can pretty much get the job done well enough. Whereas conversely, Lester suffers a lot with like one of the magic pairings. So that's why generally the pairings that are good for him, I put him best, and pairings that are good for Lana, I put him decent. Although you could kind of mix and match, maybe do something like this. But anyway, starting out with Midir. Midir is generally seen as the best husband for Edain. Gives both of the kids pursuit, gives bow inheritance to Lester. That brave bow they get from like a conversation, I think in like Chapter 4. Generally good stats. Lana's magic, we like 32% or something like that, which isn't too bad, especially since her job is healing, not like a mage or something. She's like a dedicated fighter. And getting pursuit feels really good for both of them. Lana when she promotes. Jamka is decent enough. He compared to Midir, he passes down better physical strength, higher HP, and higher luck. Though this is a game where luck, it doesn't even grant crit avoid, so it's not that great. But Midir will pass down better skill and speed. Most importantly, while Midir passes down pursuit, Jamka only passes down adept, and adept does not work with the brave bow. So even if you give Jamka the pursuit ring to pass down, it's debatable whether or not he's still even better than Midir. And also, Jamka, along with Beowolf, has like the worst magic growth in the game. So Lana really suffers even when she promotes. She's never really going to be good at combat. But this is a fine enough pairing especially for Lester here. Alternate options, we got Claud and Azelle here. Talk about Azelle first. So Azelle does pass down pursuit, and he passes down better magic. It's going to be useful for Lana if she promotes. Although Lester really gets hurt by this, his strength suffers a lot. If you do this pairing, you get a rescue staff in Chapter 4. You can use it in Chapter 4 and 5. However, with this pairing, Edain cannot pass down the rescue staff to Lana, so you're going to have to like give it to someone else, maybe like say Claude, and then do Claude X Erinys and get it on a set in like Chapter 8. But you still get the rescue staff early. You can do some shenanigans with that. Now, conversely, Claude, you have to wait until Chapter 5 to get the rescue staff, but with his holy blood, Lana can use the rescue staff. She can inherit it, and she can use it at the very beginning of Gen 2. So using the rescue staff at the very beginning of the game, especially helpful in like Chapter 7, the desert map, rescuing Seliph around there. It's very nice. However, Claude, I think, grants even like less strength to Lester than Azelle does, and he doesn't even give pursuit. So you're basically looking at Lester with terrible strength, just starting with an iron bow, and he doesn't have pursuit. Now, in like the speed run I've seen in the game, they do use Claude as this pairing, although like they use some sort of like glitch, some sort of rescue glitch for that. I have seen some like rank run or an LTC run you do this, Claude. But in generally more practical terms, you're going to want with like one of these two. Another one worth bringing up is Finn. He does pass down pursuit to both of the kids, along with Miracle, so that can be useful for like cheesing the arena or something like that. There's also a talk event in Chapter 7 where Finn can talk to Lana and grant her +5 magic. I would still recommend one of these pairings, but it's worth noting. All 4 of these characters, everyone except Finn, have a lover's conversation with Edain in Chapter 5. However, only Azelle, Midir... Well, Azelle and Midir, they both have a talk event with... you only choose one of them in Chapter 1. It'll boost their love points. I think Jamka, I'm not sure if he has that, but his love growth, like base or growth, is fairly easy to pair them off. They also have similar movement. Claude's a bit trickier, but because he joins later, like at the tail end of Chapter 3, his starting love growth and his starting love base total and love growth aren't too bad. So Claude's probably the hardest to get out of any of these, but even then it's not too bad. Although these are even easier still to pair up with Edain. All right, next we have Ayra, who is the mother of Larsa, and I'm not sure what the most recent translation is. This guy's like infamous having his name changed all the time. The translation I used gave him Ulster. I think that's also his name in like Fire Emblem Awakening DLC, so I'm just going to go with that. So generally, like I said at the beginning, these kids, no matter what you do, they're generally going to be fine at killing things. Things are going to go well there, like clearing out the arena, but they're going to have trouble keeping up, like with your mounted units. The 2 best pairings, I would say, are Holyn. Again, name change. I'm just going to call him Holyn just because that's the translation I use. That's what it called him. And Lex. Both of these characters have an event where they give Ayra a Brave Sword at the beginning of Chapter 3, I believe. Grants 100 love points, so very easy pairing to do. If you do want to go for another pairing, you'll still want to get that Brave Sword, and there's a chance if you keep them too close, you might get one of them by accident. So these 2 are the easiest pairings. They have that going for them. Talking a bit about Holyn first, what Holyn gives the kids is just overkill HP and skill. Like, they're generally going to cap their skill regardless of their pairings, but Holyn will get them there quicker, and Lex too, because of a Paragon, but we'll get to him in a bit. They're going to cap skill, and they have Astra from their mother. Holyn passes down Luna as well. And while the skill doesn't stack, you can't strike Astra and Luna at once. You do have a chance for one or the other going off. So if their skill is like 30, it'll roll, say, like 70% chance to not get a skill, but then it'll roll 70% again to not get the other. So what goes from like a 30% chance of activating Astra goes from like a 49% chance of activating Astra or Luna. And if you use either one on most enemies, it's going to defeat the enemy. So that's very good. Holyn, he's on foot like Ayra, so he's easy to pair off there. He does pass down sword inheritance, and you pass down like silver swords, silver blades, because he has a A-rank weapon and it's minor holy blood. It doesn't really affect these kids. They do technically get major Odo blood. You can use a glitch to get like the Balmong or like from Shannon, but I'm not really going to be factoring that into this. So, like a lot of people don't like it because, like they said, like, well, Astra and Luna, you only get one or the other. But having a higher chance to activate one, I think, is pretty good. And the pair up is easy. You get the weapon inheritance. I personally like this one a lot. Lex is arguably better. He does not give weapon inheritance, but generally, like I said, Chapter 6, you're pretty much going to want to solo that with Seliph or like semi-solo it. So you can just buy Ulster here, like a better weapon at like start of Chapter 7. Or just give like Diarmuid or whatever his name is, Lachesis' son, like an extra blade or something like that. Just, sell it off at the beginning of Chapter 6, give it to Ulster. Lex gives both of these kids very good strength and defense, helps with their bulk. Vantage has some niche use, but more than that, Paragon on 2 units that are good at combat, but have trouble getting to that. Lex helps get them to their help snowballs get them off the ground faster. And like I mentioned, while Holyn gives very overkill skill, Lex just doubling the amount of experience gain helps them also reach their stat cap fast. Both pairings are very good. A lot of people probably would say Lex is better than Holyn. In a vacuum, I think that's kind of true. And these lists are kind of in a vacuum, but also it's just kind of Lex. Paragon benefits pretty much every pairing to varying degrees. Whereas, so he's good with probably, I'd say 5 out of 7 pairings. Even though the 2 he's not that great in, he at least gives Paragon. Holyn, conversely, he's good with this pairing and one other one. So there's more demand for Lex. Plus, just this weapon inheritance and easier to pair up since they're both on foot. I give the slight edge to Holyn, but they're both really good options. Some other decent options, I would say, are Jamka, who passes down some really good skills to the kids. They'll have what some dub the machine gun setup, because it's just you have Pursuit as a class skill, plus Adept, plus a cost. So they'll just attack an enemy until it dies, basically. Ayra does get Adept on promotion, but this gets it to her sooner, and Ulster never gets Adept, so that helps there. Plus, Jamka gives really good strength and HP to the kids, so that's good. He's on foot, easy to keep up with. Lex's problem doesn't pass down swords to Ulster, but passing down swords, it's good, but it's not that necessary. Dew, he's on foot. He passes down swords, but I think only C, maybe B, if you can get him to promotion swords. But he passes down very well-rounded, balanced stats, apart from lower than average HP. However, due to the Holy Blood from their mother, their HP growth is still going to be fine. Just compared to other parents, Dew doesn't give much HP. He gives soul. Unlike Luna, where I would say it's good to have both, because if you don't get Astra, you might get Soul. I'd rather just get Astra than Soul. It's pretty much strictly better, because Astra will help kill the enemy. Soul doesn't do any meaningful, doesn't do any additional damage. But it's better than nothing. It could come in niche situations where you get attacked by an enemy and kill yourself with Soul. It is helpful. It's better than nothing. Rather soul activate than nothing at all. Bargain, it can be helpful in these units. They can get the bargain ring for better, just discount Lex. Generally, these kids don't have money issues because they'll clear the arena. Generally, no problem. But that is nice enough to have. Noish mounted so you kind of have to hold him back a little bit if you want to pair him with Ayra. Kind of middling stats here. Jamka gives the best HP and strength. Dew gives, I think, slightly better speed and skill. Noish is just kind of in the middle. He'll pass down more HP than Dew, not enough Jamka. Kind of tied with Dew, I think, for giving a defense. Jamka gives the worst defense of these 3. But has sword inheritance, criticals, decent skill, cost, pretty good. It's a solid option. A lot of people like it. I can see why. Others for consideration is Arden. Arden is basically just discount Lex in this scenario, and in many pairings. He passes down good strength and defense to the kids, slightly better than Lex, but not by a meaningful amount. Does have sword inheritance, unlike Lex, but without the Paragon, and without that love boosting event. He's basically if you have Lex Pelt elsewhere, but you still wanted good strength and defense, maybe Vantage, that's when you go with Arden. Of these, Holyn, Lex, and Arden are all of the 3 characters Ayra has a lover's conversation with in Chapter 5, so you're looking for canon parents or something like that. That's worth noting. Alright, next we have Lachesis, which is the father of Diarmut. I keep on saying it's Diamod, get confused with Fire and Engage, and Nana. So, the best pairing definitely is Beowolf. He has a talk event with Lachesis in Chapter 2, gives him good love points. On top of that, he passes down Pursuit, which is what both of these kids really want. Better strength. Their strength is still going to be good regardless because of their mother's holy blood, but Beowulf helps keep it better still. And if you can get Beowulf to promotion, then he can pass down A-rank swords to the sun there. So that's very good. Alec and Finn, they're decent enough, but compared to Beowulf, they're not that different. But the small advantages they have over Beowulf are pretty insignificant. And these small advantages, like the seemingly small advantages Beowulf has over these two, it's like they're more meaningful and impactful. Like Beowulf passes down better HP and strength, whereas both of these two pass down better luck and magic. And like I said earlier, luck isn't that significant in this game. It doesn't even grant crit avoid. Magic, Dermot's not really going to be using magical swords anyway. You might think this will help Nana a bit, but generally, she's going to be fine, even with a lower magic stat. It basically just means she can heal and then heal again to get even more experience. Like magic, in certain games, like I've heard in New Mystery of the Emblem, every bit of magic helps, like healing, like LTC strats, that sort of deal. But in this context, even with a lower magic stat like Beowulf grants, it's going to be sufficient. Both of the kits will be fine. So that's stat differences. There's also just the fact that Beowulf grants a cost versus Nihil and Miracle. Generally, it's like none of them are going to be super impactful. Probably cost is the most impactful, maybe in some small niche prayer. I mean, the Miracle is a newer term. I don't know why I called it prayer. It is worth noting that in a certain manga adaptation, Finn is the canon pairing with Lachesis. So if you care about like canon pairings, that sort of deal. But if you play Thracia 776, it's kind of hinted at that maybe like Beowulf is the canon father of Dermot, but Finn is the canon father of Nana because she calls him father. He has like the Beo sword or something. So it is worth noting. Some gimmicky pairings you can do are Claud or Claud or Azelle. Azelle does give both of the kids pursuit. They both really want that. He grants a higher magic stat. Some people say you can give Dermot a kind of niche role with like maybe giving the magic ring and like a magic sword, but I think his like magic cap and stat line is like the magic cap's like 15, so there's kind of a ceiling on how much you can really do with it. Like I said, Nana doesn't really need the extra magic. Claude gives him also a better magic stat, and he will raise Nana's staff rank from C to B, like on a mounted unit. This does offer up some unique potential, but neither of the kids will have pursuit, so Dermot really suffers from this. And they have others on here just because they have a lover's conversation along with Beowulf. Finn doesn't have any lover's conversations because he's not around Chapter 5, but because of the manga adaptation, in part, we could do that. I felt he was worth noting. Really don't pick either of these pairings. My first playthrough, I actually did Noish as Lachesis. Dermot was so bad that by like in-game, I didn't bother doing anything with him. Didn't even bother anything with the arena. Not even like getting him as far as I could before giving up. Didn't even try. He never even left like the home castle. He just kind of sat there. Never made use of his charm. Like without pursuit, it really hurts the son here. Dew does grant down bargain, and if Nana's staff rank was better, it would allow her, spam more, higher rank staves, more expensive ones, but she has C rank staves, so like heal, I don't even know if she can use mend. There's only so much you can really do. Like I said, they have lovers conversations. That's really in Chapter 5, Lachesis, that's really pretty much the only reason they're here. Alright, next we have Silvia, who's the mother of Lena, another dancer, and Corporal, late joining level 1 healbot. Pretty much the only reason to do this pairing at all, basically, is you want to have, if you want to have Silvia have the leg ring and night rings, she can pass it on to her daughter. So she won't have to, the daughter won't have to, buy it again in Gen 2, save up money. That said, there's a few pairings worth noting. My personal favorite is Claude, just because this gives Corporal the Valkyrie staff. You can resurrect an ally, which isn't super impactful, but I mean that's at least something. It gives them a niche role. That's pretty good. And Claude can pass down stabs to Corporal if you want, but main reason to do is just Valkyrie. Also, Claude and Silvia have a talk conversation in Chapter 4, boost their love growths. So that's pretty good. Lewyn does pass down Forseti to Corporal, and he can use it, but only after he promotes. It's debate to be had whether Lewyn is better paired with Erinys or Tailtiu. Two pairings we'll get to later. They're the other two Forseti users. Both of those have like something the other one doesn't. Like Arthur has better availability and he has a mount when he promotes. Ced, as a sage, has better stats and he has pursuit naturally. Corporal is the worst of both worlds. He has less availability than any of them. He doesn't have pursuit. He doesn't have the stats of Ced, and he doesn't have a mount, and he has even like less movement than Ced. He's got like 5 movement instead of 6. So pretty much don't do this pairing. It technically in a vacuum is one of the best pairings. And technically, purely in a vacuum, it is the best pairing you can because Forseti is that good, but don't do this pairing really unless you just want to meme around. You've already done both of the other 2 pairings. Lewyn X Tailtiu and Lewyn X Erinys. But it is kind of a funny thing you can do if you want. Less impactful, but also more practical than Lewyn. We have Dew and Lex. Dew grants the kids bargain. So let's say like you want to pass down the leg ring to Seliph in chapter 6. He can use it for that, and then because the kids have bargain, she'll have an easier time getting it back once he's promoted. Or like the Night Crest, or that sort of thing. It is something worth pointing out. Lex grants both of the kids Paragon, so especially if you're doing something like a rank run, dancers can have trouble get enough experience. This helps them out a lot. Corporal, you want to get them promoted. This will help a lot. So, but these offer some sort of like small niche compared to like some other pairings. At least gives them something. Alec is here just because he has a talk conversation with Silvia in chapter 2, grants them love points. This was my first playthrough. Paired these 2 up that way. So if you don't really care about any abilities or skills, like skills or stats or weapon inheritance, but you do want to pair up Silvia just so she can pass down the leg ring and or night crest easier, this is a solid enough option. The lovers conversations Silvia has in chapter 5, they're with Claud and Lewyn and also with Alec. So take of that what you will. Also, for the first time, I'm going to talk about the substitute characters. If Silvia is not paired off, or if she is paired off, but then you get her killed, you'll end up with Lena and Charlo. They're interesting. Lena has charm, so +10 hit and avoid to any allies within 3 spaces. It's probably better than skills like Lena has, like Miracle or Adept. But the thing is, it's not super impactful because generally, even the dancer, she's going to be far enough away from enemy combat. Like you're going to dance for someone, then they're going to move far away to like attack enemies. It's not super impactful. Technically better, I would say, purely in terms of skills and like the default ones Lena has, but it's not worth like going through more trouble to get the leg ring and or night crest on your dancer. Charlo's interesting. He has Paragon, and he has a secret event where you get the Berserk Staff. I think any of these pairings are better for Corporal here, but aside from these 4, I would honestly say Corporal's better than Charlo's better than Corporal. Like if you don't do any of these, but then you're also giving up. You're having a more difficult time with the leg ring and or night crest. So yeah, pretty samey, pretty boring, but that's just kind of how Silvia's kids are. All right, next we have Erinys, who is the mother of Ced and Fee. Kind of like with Edain, the kids want different things, but it's not as lopsided as it is in that pairing. Like with Edain, you're basically choosing one of the kids to be a 2 out of 8 of 10, while the other one's 8 out of 10. This pair up, you're kind of choosing one of the kids to be an 8, while the other one's a 6, or something like that. You get the general idea. Ced wants more magic. Fee wants more physical strength and skills, that sort of thing. Basically, best here are the pairings I'd say are better for Ced. These are the pairings that are better for Fee. So you could flip flop these if you wanted to. The best pair up for Erinys in a vacuum definitely is Lewyn, who can pass down Forseti to Ced. He has pursuit. He has like the best weapon in the game. Book of Naga is probably better, but you barely have that at all. Like the best weapon that you have actual time to use. Ced has pursuit from his mother. He already has Adept as a class skill as a sage. And critical, it's at least something. The big selling point is a magic stat and Forseti. And it does help out Fee a bit too. She gets adept on promotion like Larce, but Lewyn will give it to her sooner. And she'll grab a critical. And both of the kids have very good speed. So on top of that, just Forseti's a bonus to speed. Really good set. Fee is still perfectly usable. Solid match set. Claude, if you do Lewyn with another pairing we'll get up to, he will grant a solid magic stat to Sed, and he'll raise his staff rank from B to A. So there's some more niche things you can do there. Plus, this is technically the fastest you can get the Valkyrie staff in Gen 2 is by having Claude pass it on to Sed. So that is a meaningful contribution. This will also rank, once Fee promotes her staff rank instead of C, it will be B if you use Claude. So I mentioned this with Nana, but on a flyer, B rank staffs as opposed to C, that's a bit more impactful. So that's pretty good. Claude, unfortunately, doesn't pass down any skills, but I still think this is a pretty solid pairing, especially if you're not going for Lewyn. Lewyn's by country miles the best pairing in a vacuum, but there is one other pairing which is debatably better. It's kind of, there's pros and cons of each. So if you're more want to focus on Fee, then that's when these pairings come into play. Get more physical strength as opposed to magic. Noish prances down decent strength, and they already have a pursuit from the mother, so him not having it is a non-factor. Critical and Accost are decent enough skills, especially once Fee promotes. She'll have the Accost, Pursuit, and Adept, so that's pretty good. Alec, he has Nihil, which negates critical hits, and in this game, flyer effective damage is treated as a critical hit. So she doesn't take bonus damage from arrows or ballista. So that adds some niche things if you want to fly her close to ballista without worrying too much about it. Lex passes down solid strength and defense. Vantage, it's at least something. Paragon helps her get to promotion faster. All of these pairings definitely hurt Sed's magic growth, but his base magic just on his class, it's decent enough. These are clearly better for him, purely for the Sed part, but he'll still be usable, have pursuit, have decent enough magic. Not as good as it could be, but serviceable. And then these are two pairings I think are just worth noting. Azelle, if you go with Lewyn with the other popular pairing, this still gives him very good magic, even if it is outclassed by Claude, since one of Azelle's biggest factors is he passed down Pursuit, which is a non-factor. Claude at least gives him higher staff rank, but this will allow Sed to use the Bologna Tomb you get in Chapter 10, but generally most people aren't going to be using that, but it's worth noting. Then Arden, more so helping Fee, good strength and defense. Vantage is at least something. Erinys' lovers' conversations are with Lewyn and Claude, and funnily, and with, let me check. Oh, it's with Arden. Yeah, it's with her lover conversations are with Lewyn, Claude, and funnily enough, Arden. One other thing I should have mentioned about Lewyn is he has the easiest pair up in the entire game, because if neither one of them are married after a certain point in Chapter 4, they can have a talk conversation, just instantly fall in love. I was a speedrun do this. They didn't really use Sed or Fee, but having these characters instead of substitutes burned RN or something. So easiest pair up in the game, despite their movement differences. Super easy pairing. Oh wait, I misread it. Her lover's conversation with Lewyn, obviously it's the canon pairing, Thresh 76, with Arden and with Noish, not Claude. The Lewyn, Noish, and Arden are the lovers' conversations in Chapter 5. All right, next we have Brigid, who is the mother of Patty and Feeball. Kind of like with Silvia's pairings, there's only really so much you can do either way with this. Feeball's generally good at combat, but he's bow-locked, he's foot-locked, so that's problematic. He does have Pursuit as a class skill. Patty is a thief, or, combat generally going to be pretty limited, but she's a bit of extra gold here and there. Kind of debated with this for a little bit. These three kind of moved around a little bit. Originally, I had like something like this. Eventually, I just kind of settle on this for now. I think Lex is the best. All three of these grant something to two of the kids, but how much they give and how much is distributed towards one or the other is a little bit different. Lex, Paragon is always useful, but especially for Patty, who has a difficult time reaching promotion because of her combat. That's very good. If you can get a promotion, it's a big stat boost, and she gains a pursuit when she promotes, and B rank swords instead of C. So that's pretty good. Additionally, because he has Vantage, what you can do is like cheese the arena with a sleep sword or sleep edge. Keep reset until you put the enemy to sleep, and you can gain experience that way. Sleep edge is, I think, fairly expensive. I think it's like 15,000 gold. So, but so you're kind of, because it keeps breaking, you might kind of lose some money in the short term. But if you can get her to promotion, that can be very good for that. Feeball doesn't care about as much. I mean, it'll help him get into promotion to sniper soon, but Vantage on a bow user, not really that great. But it's at least something. Especially the Paragon is at least something. Holyn is very good. He gives both of the kids something that they want. Feeball, the U-Fel is a kind of fairly inaccurate weapon. I think it has like 70 base accuracy. So Holyn gives some much needed skill to Feeball. Patty, he will give her Luna and a higher sword rank. Instead of C, it'll be B. So you can pass around the Brave Sword. Trigger some Lunas on that. She won't be running around like the Brave Sword killing opponents like in the actual like main map, but for helping with the arena, it's pretty good there. Both of these pairings, pretty good. Both good, work well with Ayra, both work well with these. What I recommend doing is just give Ayra one of these two, and whoever you don't give the other one to Brigid. That's kind of my recommendation, but take it with a grain of salt. Many players like doing Dew because he has bargain. This way your Thief in Gen 2 has bargain as well. That can be useful if you want to like temporary buy stat boosters or whatever on Patty. Help her like with the arena so you can get more gold. That is useful there. It does help Feeball a bit, like bargain, because he has the U-Fel, a very expensive weapon. He can spam it a bit more, but generally, he doesn't really lack for gold. He is good enough at combat to clear the arena fine. You can generally just, especially for like the lower entries of the arena, you use like something like a silver bow or like even just like a steel bow or something like that. He's generally going to be fine on money, but having bargain is at least helpful because he has the holy weapon. That's at least something. And all three of these units, they're pretty much on here just because they're the only ones that have a lover's conversation with Brigid in Chapter 5. In fact, Midir is the only character that has a talk conversation with Brigid that boosts love points. You can have it with her in Chapter 3 when she joins. So that's why he's the highest of these. Just get the love point bonus. That's at least something. Jamka, you can at least have like the machine gun build, pursuit, adept, and a cost in Gen 2. Another bow locked, foot locked unit. And Alec, I mean, he'll give pursuit to Patty. She'll get it if she ever promotes, but she'll have it naturally as a personal skill. So that's at least something. All right. So last but not least, we have Tailtiu, who is the mother of Arthur and Tenny. So both of these kids, they want good magic stats and they want pursuit. So definitely the best pairing for this is Lewyn because he can pass down Forsetti to Arthur. Having Forsetti at the very start of Gen 2 and eventually having Forsetti on a mounted user with a good magic stat is really good. However, critically, he does not give pursuit. If you do these pairings like optimally and it's not your first time playing, generally most characters don't really care about. Generally, you'll get pursuit on the characters who really need it. Those who don't have pursuit, they don't really benefit from the pursuit ring that much. Like say some of the characters set in stone, like Johann Johalvir, axes are so heavy they don't really benefit from it that much. So if you do this pairing, I think Arthur's a very good candidate for the pursuit ring. Not many characters want it long term. Like I said, Leif wants it, but only like in the short term. So you can either give it to Leif, and then once he promotes, give it to Arthur, which is what I did when I tried this pairing. Or if you just want to have it, directly on Arthur to begin with, you can give the pursuit ring to Lewyn. You can have it during Gen 1, just pass it down directly to his son. That is something you can do. But even without the pursuit ring, the massive speed Forseti grants plus the depth, he's generally going to be fine even without it. Just maybe some of the tougher enemies you'll want it, especially if they activate Pavice or something. Very solid pairing. Tinny does suffer this. She doesn't have pursuit, and she doesn't get the holy weapon, but she has a good magic stat. She has wrath. She gets critical and adept. So that's at least something. Azelle is kind of like the textbook definition of boring but practical. He gives both of the kids magic, which they want, and he gives them pursuit. And that's about it. And he can pass down some better tomes to Arthur here, because Arthur only starts with wind, so you can give him the El Thunder or Thoron or whatever it is, give him some better starting weapons. Claud passes down decent magic, and he can pass down tomes to Arthur, but he doesn't grant any skills. The increased staff rank he gives kind of goes to waste here. Tinny, I think when she promotes, she'll have A rank staff instead of B, but that's kind of far off. And when she promotes, she's still it's not even like Nana or Fee, who are on a mount. She's still footlocked. There is some use you can do with a high magic stat. High magic stat on an A rank staff user, like silence, that sort of thing. There's some use you can get out of that. Generally, I would say with these pairings, just go with one of these two. If you want to have a mounted Forseti user, go with Lewyn. If you want a Forseti user, you want both of them. If you want a Forseti user who has pursuit, you want both of these have pursuit, just go with Azelle. Just choose Lewyn, or if Lewyn's with Erinys, choose Azelle here. But Claud is kind of a fair enough backup. Then we got some gimmicky pairings here. All these kind of have a skill that synchronizes with Wrath. So Wrath guarantees crit when you're at HP is half or below, which Tailtiu gives the kids automatically. Lex, in addition to giving Paragon, so you can they can get to promotion faster, giving Vantage, they strike first when at half HP or less. That's useful early on, but eventually the low magic all three of these give to the kids, something like 22%. It's not enough to sufficiently just one hit an opponent, which is what you need to do if you want to take out swarms of enemies. You can give them the magic ring, sure, but there's only so much you can really do. Only one of them gets a magic ring, the other one just tends to suffer with any of these pairings. Lex is the best because not just Vantage, but also Paragon gets some levels sooner. Finn gets a Miracle. Finn gives a Miracle plus Wrath, so if you put him in a swarm of enemies, it's okay if he doesn't quite one-round him, because that one turn where he has extremely boosted Avoid, he'll at least put a decent chunk of HP out of them. So that's something. And Arden, as always, is just like a poor man's Lex. He grants Vantage without the Paragon. Still poor magic stats. Still, later on, it's difficult to one-round things. And, actually, I think this is one of the pairings that's worth talking about the substitutes as well, because Linda here, she does have Paragon. So that's pretty good. It is better than a lot of pairings. I think even with Paragon, she's better than a lot of ways Tinny will been up, because Tinny will never get Forseti or something like that. Doesn't have Pursuit, so at least Azelle gives her that. But it's worth noting, mid, well, there's the joke, mid, mid, no one really cares about him. He doesn't have Pursuit, just has Adept, just kind of the mad mage, but he doesn't even gain a horse. He becomes a war mage with a sword or something like that. If you want to spice up your playthrough, I've done a substitute-only run. It's fine, but generally, either of these pairings, like I said, are going to be better than either of these, but it is at least worth noting. Tailtiu's Lover's conversation are with these two, Lou and Azelle, actually magic ones. She doesn't have with Claud, even though these two characters are introduced together. Many people pair them up and they find out, Arthur can't use the Valkyrie staff. Doesn't have a Lover's conversation with Claud, but she does have one with Lex, even though the gimmicky pairing. So make of that what you will. Anyway, those were my recommendations for Genealogy of the Holy War pair-ups. Any disagreements or thoughts, comments, anything of that? questions, comments, rude or snide remarks, please let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. And this is Enigmatic Mr. L signing out.